Is the play-in tournament the playoffs? Lee, you tell me. Are we counting that if you are making it as the 9th or the 10th seed, you're in the play-in tournament? Are you in the playoffs or no? What do you think?
No, you're not in the playoffs. No,
Okay.
You are not in the playoffs. You're only in the playoffs when you face a team over a series of games, which would be a best-of-7 series. So, no. But I am excited for it. I think this is a really good idea. It obviously worked very well in its first try down there in the bubble. And it wouldn't have even happened if it wasn't for the shutdown of the season. And so the NBA decided to take a chance, and it worked. And now they've decided to not only bring it back, but also extend it a little bit. Now, I know Trey, for example, I think doesn't like it being extended, but I'm okay with it like this right now because I don't think it has to be, okay, we're doing this now forever. It's like, okay, let's try it this season and see if 10 teams works. And if it does, then great, we keep it for a while. And if it doesn't, then perhaps they do only go back to just having that one team to come into the playoffs. So I like it because I think, again, the NBA is trying to figure out a way to make it so that fewer teams mail in the season and tank towards the end of it. And I think if you're a team like the Minnesota Timberwolves, for example, if you can make that play-in tournament, considering the lack of player success they've had over their last 15 years, Sacramento Kings are another one, it's something to at least fight for and give yourself extend the season a little bit and give yourself a chance to get into that playoff bracket. So I'm okay with it. I think it's okay. I think it's very, very good to experiment with these things, to try them out. And again, you don't have to lock yourself in forever with any of these things. Just keep trying it while things are working. And if it does keep working like this, go with it. But it doesn't count as the playoffs unless you are in that first matchup against the number 1 or number 2 seed.
Okay. What do you think, Tass? You agree with Lily?
Totally. Those teams that end up losing in the play-in tournament end up in the draft lottery.
Right.
So you can't be in I might be an old guy here sitting on the fence or sitting on the porch yelling at people on the lawn, but you can't be both. You can't be both.
Why
Get
is that
off the
old
fence.
guy yelling at us all the time? Well, he's sitting on a fence. He's got it right up his
Pretty
ass
grumpy.
crack. Yeah. Exactly.
Well, that's because I got to pick it in my ass.
Right.
So yeah, you can't be, right? According here to a team streamer, AJ Santiago, the baseball playing teams they count as the playoffs, but
Oh, yeah.
There's so many fewer teams in baseball. Now we're talking, and I think why Trey doesn't like it, we're talking about 20 teams in the postseason. Way more teams now would be in the postseason if you count these play-in tournament teams than not. 20 versus 10.
Right.
That's a lot of teams making the playoffs. Isn't it supposed to be a select group that makes the playoffs? We already got over 50%. I think that's enough.
Trey, do you agree with the guys? Like, if the Wolves make the 10th seed and they're in the play-in tournament, but then they lose and they're out, are you going to say, well, the Wolves did make the playoffs last year when we do the season previews the next season?
That's exactly what I'm thinking, Skeets. We're all going to say, no, the play-in tournament, it's not the playoffs. Look at the name, play-in tournament. You're playing into the playoffs. But if they called it the wild card, we would all call this the playoffs. And like you're saying, when we're doing previews next season, that number 10 seed, we're going to say, well, they basically made the playoffs. So I've kind of changed my mind. I think this is the playoffs now. At the very least, it's the postseason. It's happening post the season. There we go. It's the playoffs.
Yeah,
Wow.
I guess we'll find out, the TNT theme song that hits, the Pitbull playoffs. Are they going to play that before the play-in tournament, or are they going to wait 3 days?
One thing that is weird, though, with these playing games, it happened last season. I keep saying last season. I mean, it was a couple of weeks ago, it feels like.
Well, it was last season, yeah.
The stats don't count, which is weird. I think you may as well just make them like stats for... Well,
that is a great point. You're saying, like, where do you put these stats?
Yeah.
You don't put you don't put them with the regular season.
Yeah, but you should.
But
I think it's more an extension of the regular
I hadn't
season.
thought about
It's
that.
not
So
the start
hold
of
on.
the
Let's talk this through. The Wolves make it as a 10th seed. Karl Anthony Towns goes bonkers, scores 101 points in a game. Okay, breaks Will Chamberlain's record. But what are we doing with that?
But they lose.
They lose.
They lose. They don't make the actual playoffs.
So then we wouldn't be able to recognize the 101 point game?
Yeah.
That'd be amazing. Like, because where would that live?
It's kind of like the real 100-point game. Did it even happen?
Ooh.
Nobody really knows.
Okay. I hadn't thought about that part lately. That's a great point. Are they postseason numbers? Are they?
Yeah, I mean, it could be.
I guess it'll be their own thing. It'll just be playing numbers or something.
It could be potentially 2 games as well, assuming they have the same format as last time. But yeah.
All right.
Interesting.
Well, Trey made some good points. Even this numbers thing's got me thinking it a little differently. But I asked the people on Twitter. I had a poll up, I guess a couple weeks ago now, because I said, this is driving me nuts already. Because you hear people talking about it, like, is the play-in part of the playoffs and all that? Some people say yes, some people say no. So I just asked it as a poll. Will you consider making the NBA play-in games, making the playoffs? This is quite the consensus, I think, for Twitter. 88.6% say no. Nearly 5,000 votes. And again, for Twitter to have, one side with that many votes, that's basically a consensus. 11.4% saying yes. So most people do agree with you, Lily and Tass. Like, nah, you're not actually in a playoff series yet. You're in this tournament, but you're not in the playoff series. But
I changed my
the wild
mind.
card part is interesting. Oh, you changed your mind, Trace.
Yeah, get off the fence, Twitterers. Get off the fence. I think it's going to be part of the playoffs because that's a good point about the stats. They need to put them somewhere. I don't think they're going to put them in the regular season. I think they're going to shove them in the playoffs. I don't think so either.
There's only really two options. They either just make a whole new thing for play-in stats, I guess, or they're a part of the playoffs.
But see, I think, so say you get traded midway through the season, right? And the team that you're traded from has played more games than the team you're traded to, right? Mm-hmm. And then you play every single game for both those teams. You can technically play more than 82 games in a season. So I would say you just build it in like that. You just say, okay, these are extra games of regular season basketball.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I absolutely know what you're saying, but it's not the regular season anymore.
Yeah, but it's not the playoffs either, isn't
I
it?
know, that's the dilemma. That's the dilemma, man.
Do we count preseason stats?
I would just say you're extending the regular season. Okay, you're not actually playing playoffs, so that's why I would say extend it.
Okay, so I'm peeping this basketball reference page right now for the Memphis Grizzlies, who made it to the play-in tournament last year and they lost. We would say they didn't make the playoffs, right?
Right.
If you're looking at the Grizzlies' schedule and results, regular season, Portland Trailblazers game, it counts as a regular season game.
Oh.
However, if you look at Ja Morant's game log, the game against the Portland Trailblazers is nowhere to be found.
Oh, this is fascinating. This is what I mean by the 101-point game that Towns is going to draw.
It counts for the teams. It doesn't count for the players. I don't know. I love it. I love the ghost realm of basketball that we're discussing here. This is my new favorite thing. It's the play-in tournament that happened. But did it?
Did it? Yeah.
You had to be there.
But does it count for like the Blazers players because they made the playoffs afterwards? No, that doesn't.
Wow.
We got to go deeper.
It can't, like Trey just said, it counts for the team's record, but not the individual player statistics. That
we
is
couldn't
amazing.
decide that.
They got to fix that. Schumann, you got to fix that.